Friday. Thanks for still being with us. It is part 3 in a series about racism. I just want to review really quickly. Number 1, I'm a white guy talking about race. That's true. And 2, I'm talking about it because racism is just as much a white person problem as it is a black person problem. And St. Paul makes it very clear in 1 Corinthians 12:26. If one member of Christ's body suffers, all suffer. If one member is honored, all rejoice. And number 3, if we want to be a part of the solution to eradicate racism, we as white people, we need to start by listening to voices of color. We need to speak to people different than us. Father Herb said in his retreat, we need to see the face of Christ in each person. So if you're all caught up, great, because before we even begin, I do need to make a quick confession, as always. At restaurants, I do regularly order Shirley Temples for dinner. You can ask my wife. They are delicious. I'm Paul Devine, and this is Confessions of a Bearded White Guy. Okay, so we're here at the end of our retreat, and I want to take us one step further into the uncomfortable zone and challenge us in a really big way. Once we start talking about race as white people, and once we begin to listen to the voices of minorities, what do we do then? Because if we stop there, I think we tend to pat ourselves on the back and say, good job, buddy. You learned and know more about minority people. And then we revert to a bystander role. I think there's one step further we need to take, which actually takes a whole lot more effort and is going to be hard. Robin DiAngelo, author of White Fragility, talks about the eradication of racial injustices as not an overnight fix, but a process. And it's a process that's long, and while it's hard, it is necessary, okay? I'm going to start with a little bit of a long quote that I will throw up on the screen. This is from a letter from the bishops in 1979 titled, Brothers and Sisters to Us. The structures of our society are subtly racist, for these structures reflect the values which society upholds. They are geared to the success of the majority and the failure of the minority. The sinfulness is often anonymous, but nonetheless real. All of us in some measure are accomplices. The absence of personal fault for an evil does not absolve one of all responsibility. We must seek to resist and undo injustices we have not seized, lest we become bystanders who tacitly endorse evil and so share in guilt in it. Let's look at that last line. We must seek to resist and undo injustices. To share another quote that we're going to add to this by Angela Davis, it's not enough to be not racist. We must be anti-racist. That's been something that's been floating all over the internet lately. It is not enough to be not racist. We must be anti-racist. The bishops agree with this. And they call us to an actual action to undo the injustices around us. We have to undo it. So what can we do besides listen? There's a site that I would love to just direct you to. It's called guidetoallyship.com. It's super simple site. It just gives great tips to people who want to be an ally to an oppressed community, but don't necessarily know how to do it. For example, me. I want to draw your attention, though, to one of the things that they list as something we can do. And this is a quote, to be an ally is to, this is 3 of a 6-point plan. To be an ally is to transfer the benefits of your privilege to those who lack it. Here's confession number 3. I am recognizing that the society that I live in has racial injustices every day. This society provides me, a white person, with a comfortable way of life. That makes me slightly uncomfortable to say that. My wife brought up a great point to me the other day when we were discussing this. She was realizing, even in simple ways, she has a level of comfort that others do not. That when she goes to get our kids a present, she never has to wonder whether or not a doll will not be the same color as one of our daughters. There's always that option for us. But she was speaking to a friend and learned that that's not the way it works for people of color. It's not that simple. And that's just an easy example. We could mention the disparities in funding for schools, the representation of people, of minority in power, the entertainment industry. I rarely see a film or TV show where I don't see someone who looks like me. They're always there. And yet people of color probably see a lot of that. And after all this, the question that we are faced with is, how do we justify this level of comfort? How can we justify this? Do we say, I worked for my privilege, you should do the same? Well, that argument doesn't really hold up when you're speaking to a person who had ancestors in slavery who worked for free to make this country the way it is and to make me feel comfortable. Once again, that makes me feel uncomfortable now. When was the last time I did something for free? How long did that last? When was the last time you did something for free? This question forces me to take action and to take a hard look at that advice from Guide to Allyship. To be an ally is to transfer the benefits of your privilege to those who lack it. I think this means that if we truly want to offer equality and dignity to others, we need to give something up. And that something is power. Privilege rests in the control of the decision-making process. To go back to the U.S. bishops, the structures of our society are subtly racist, for these structures reflect the values which society upholds. They are geared to the success of the majority and the failure of the minority. If we're going to actually end racism, we need to begin to give something up, and I think we have no better of an example than Christ himself. 1 John 3:16, the way we came to know love was that he laid down his life for us. So we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers. It's time that minority groups in America see the white community sacrifice for them. And I think the sacrifice is going to hurt. Being uncomfortable isn't fun, but I don't want our community to act like my 4-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter. As small children, they struggle with the concept of sharing because to them, they want to have it all. Are we children? Because it sure seems sometimes like our communities treat the racial injustices in our systems like we are. Unwilling to give up control, unwilling to share resources because it means we might have less. I think we need to be okay with a little bit of less. My hope at the end of this week is that you've been challenged to simply rethink your view on racism, or if you agree with what I've said, challenge and giving you an idea of how to go out and move from spectator to participant. And so I leave you just with one more challenge, one more question that I want you to reflect on for this weekend. What privileges can you sacrifice this summer that will offer opportunities for those who do not have those privileges? What can you sacrifice so that others may have more? I love you guys. I pray for you guys, and I ask for your prayers as well. Thank you. Bye.